Okay, so my presentation is the psychological and ecological effects of planned obsolescence and mass consumerism. So what is planned obsolescence? Well, this is a poster with the face of an influential industrial designer named Brooke Stevens, who said that our whole economy is based on planned obsolescence. We make good products, we induce people to buy them, and the next year, we deliberately introduce something that will make those products old-fashioned, out of date, and obsolete. We do this for the soundest reason, to make money. Obsolescence is primarily used on products that can be streamlined, such as phones, cars, laptops, and some clothing items. Weird click. An idea is proposed. The creator of obsolescence was Alfred P. Sloan Jr., who was a longtime president, chairman, and CEO of General Motors Corporation. He helped General Motors grow as an automotive business from the 1920s through the 1950s. In the mid-1920s, Sloan proposed that his company should release new models, new colors, and faster engines every year. The practice would fabricate demand in order to increase car sales and boost the marketability of the company. Some years later, the stock market crash of October 29, 1929, left the country in shock as it had just lived through the Roaring Twenties, which was a relatively prosperous America in terms of economic stability. Then, in 1941, the United States entered World War II, which limited the diversity of product creation. A post-war opportunity. Items such as rubber and fuel were rationed, and the production of automobiles was put on hold, as the sole purpose of America's industrial system is to provide the soldiers with as many tools as they needed in order to attain victory. The post-war American economy began to flourish, causing a high discretionary income and almost full employment of the whole nation. However, since Americans were laser-focused on supplying soldiers during wartime, there was virtually nothing for them to buy. In this article, Toward a Throwaway Culture, author Nigel Whitney declared that post-war period America moved into what has been called the high mass consumption stage, the era of the advanced consumer, or consumer society, when saturation levels for many goods within middle-income markets were achieved. Due to the higher average income and the longing for recreational products and activities, products such as cars, refrigerators, and apparel were able to be streamlined, and they eventually saturated the market. Obsolescence is born. Eventually, American consumers had bought all of the items that they had wanted, and the problem for businesses was figuring out a way to keep their customers buying. This challenge intensified a decade-long practice of planned, just-stop obsolescence, and it now required the use of ubiquitous propaganda that will constantly be in the American view. The man for the job was Edward Bernays, who was an Austrian-American pioneer in the field of public relations and propaganda. In his book Propaganda, Bernays declared that modern business must have its finger continuously on the public pulse. It must understand the changes in the public mind and be prepared to interpret itself fairly and eloquently to changing opinion. Next to the text are some of his posters for 3 different cigarette brands: Lucky Sweet, Marlboro, and Camels. The illusion of affluence. Today, the effects of our extreme consumerism have shown to take a toll on the personal well-being of human beings. In his novel titled Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari argues that consumerism tells us that in order to be happy, we must consume as many products and services as possible. If we feel that something is missing or not quite right, then we probably need to buy a product or a service. Since the 1940s, Americans have been told that products can be an escape from the torment of their daily jobs. They toil at their jobs in order to finally be able to obtain a new car, travel to a remote island, or save up enough money to do what they really want. Their possessions take over the form of their true selves and become outlets for them to show their identity. However, the fulfillment that one gets from the attainment of a new streamlined product is finite, so one always needs another, better fix. According to psychologist David Myers, compared with their grandparents, today's young adults have grown up with much more affluence, slightly less happiness, and much greater risk of depression and assorted social pathology. Our becoming much better off over the last 4 decades has not been accompanied by one iota of increased subjective well-being. Obsolescence makes an obsolete world. Our demand for the succession of products is going to deplete many of our world's natural resources. Although planned obsolescence seems good for global wealth and a stabilized market, the ecological issues that it is causing are starting to glare to the Earth's surface. The amount of waste and pollution produced in the U.S. is steadily increasing every year, or we are on a path to self-destruction. In the article Planned Obsolescence, A Question of Consumerism and Production of Waste, Robert Solzak argues that we do not see these environmental issues in our daily lives, so we are not feeling bothered by this. But if we feel we will not start to use our resources more effectively, we will encounter serious trouble. The efficiency of material in North America is 1%. After 6 months and after this time, 99% of things Americans bought are thrown away. It considers also the waste created while producing, transporting, and storing all mentioned links. The fact is that even the most efficient economy nowadays has an efficiency of just a couple percent. A chance for rebirth. There is no denying the cultural value of many streamlined products such as cars and television. However, scientific studies prove that the constant acquisition of consumer products isn't conducive to long periods of overall happiness. Instead, we find more pleasure in maintaining relationships with our loved ones, helping others, and personal favorable pastimes. There are certain measures we can take, such as putting an emphasis on vintage, recycling, and longer product usage. People will no longer feel like they have to keep up with the latest trend, and they will become less susceptible to the tricks of advertising. Recycling and longer product usage means that people should stick with their current car and phone models and miss out on the next 2-year models. Theoretically, this will force businesses to increase the length of time between drops and allow them to put greater focus on actually improving their products. I believe that in order to be fulfilled, we need to focus on living a holistic, meaningful life. We must focus on investing in our well-being and that of our families. We need to pursue passions and hobbies that are inherently rewarding while acknowledging that we are worthy of love and respect regardless of our achievements.